Welcome to 2021. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. If you are a returning subscriber, hello, nice to see you again. If you are not and you are new and you have never seen my face before in your entire existence, then hello, welcome to you too. My name is NATALIE Nicole. I hope you all are doing swell so far. It is January 18th today as I'm filming this, and it probably won't go up until the very end of January. Who knows, maybe it's February by now. I can't. Today I'm going to be telling you guys the things that I learned in 2020 and also some goals that I really want to keep for 2021. I feel like 2020 was a year of lots of realization in more ways than one. It's just been really difficult on top of a pandemic. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is comparison. I have always struggled my entire life with just comparing myself, and I know that everybody struggles with this, but I feel like most people struggle with this in a physical appearance type of way, and although yes, that is also me, I feel like I don't put as much emphasis on that versus other things. So the things that I struggle with comparison is like my talents, my successes, how far I am in life compared to other people, my skills, my creativity in general, which is so draining. I have a lot of beautifully talented friends and I love them to death. I find myself comparing myself to them way too much because maybe they have more followers or subscribers than me. Maybe they have more years of experience than me in a certain skill set, you know? I find myself like dwelling on these things so much because I'm like, well, why even try if there's already someone that's so much better than you? Like, you should just give up. And I like create these lies in my head that you're not good enough and you're not worthy of doing this certain thing and you should not keep going because you're not as good as other people already. That's just one thing I just want to leave behind in 2020 because there's no reason for me to be thinking that way. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody has to get their foot in the door somehow, some way. How do I expect myself to let myself grow if I'm just focusing and dwelling so much on other people that I lose focus of myself and like what I want to do with my life? Period. Oh, I also have a matcha. That was my first sip. So good. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is I spend way too much money. Oh my gosh. This year I started a budget tracker. Okay, I shouldn't say budget, but it was more of like a spending tracker. I literally wrote down, I think since June of 2020, I wrote down every single expense and I made a bunch of categories, whether it be like food or groceries or subscriptions or bills or etc., whatever. I realized that I spend so much money, first of all, on food. Food is the death of me because I am hungry 24/7, but also just like random little like shopping sprees. It's not even clothes that I spend money on when I do these little shopping sprees. It's like items or gadgets or something that I want that just isn't really necessary. I'll spend money on like certain pens or highlighters because I just really want a certain brand and it's like a little more expensive, but I just really want it. Or I'll spend money on like stickers because I have this little sticker collection that I do not really need to add anymore to as of right now. Or I'll spend money on a new phone case or a laptop case or whatever just to like make my space prettier. I'm not saying that any of those things are a bad thing because I like having a pretty and clean space. I like being able to treat myself every once in a while. That's not a bad thing. But the bad thing is when I do that every month and I spend more money on those things than I should. If I want something like that, I need to be saving specifically for that thing and not just buying it out of impulse because I feel like I do that so much and it's very bad. That's something that I need to be more conscious about in 2021. Number 3, and the most important thing that I'm going to say throughout this entire video, social and racial injustice is still so present whether you want to recognize it or not. It was never the fact that it wasn't present. It's always been present. It has been present for hundreds of years. It's really been brushed under the rug. We're so engulfed in our own selfish motives and struggles that we choose not to see the struggles of other people. Just because something doesn't affect me doesn't mean that it's not a problem, period. I have to play my own part in recognizing that there are things happening in a grander scheme that I can be a part of to change. How selfish and like inconsiderate can you be to just think, you know what, well, that's not my problem because it doesn't affect me, so why should I do anything about it? I have my own problems to worry about. Girl, everybody has their own problems to worry about. Every single person. People have been raised and brainwashed into thinking that they don't have to help because it doesn't affect them. Ultimately, people are the problem. People make their own decisions and choices as for what is important to them and what they decide to deem as an issue. Everybody has their own ability to be able to educate themselves and research things. It's not very difficult. And if you blatantly choose to not do that, then how are you going to say that you're not part of the problem? Anyways, but that's just my little rant or whatever. I need to move on because I can literally go on all day about that. So let's just continue. You want to be louder? Okay, number 4. I reaffirmed who my truest friends are this year. Obviously with COVID, you have to be super careful about who you're seeing and like who you're willing to see too, because like a lot of people are just real stupid and they just see whoever they want. Fat groups of people, fat groups of family even that don't live with them. They just continuously be idiotic. So I can't hang out with those people. Thankfully, I have a lot of friends that are smart and they don't do anything crazy. The few friends that I have been able to see throughout the span of quarantine so far in the past year almost is like the people who I knew that I trusted and the friends that I knew that trusted me. I just thought that that was a really nice thing because it just made me feel like, okay, like these people that I'm willing to see are my best friends, and that's that, you know? So it was nice to be able to recognize that and reaffirm that, like I said. I also realized in quarantine that it literally pains me to not be around people in person. As an extrovert, I should say. It's so hard. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. I remember especially at the beginning when everything was up in the air, everything was uncertain. There was no hope whatsoever for the end of the pandemic to be near. I'm never gonna see my friends again. Never, ever. I'm just gonna be friendless for the rest of my life. Obviously, I'm exaggerating for dramatic effect, but I really had those thoughts. I was like, when am I gonna see my best friends again? Like, am I just not gonna be able to see them for years? Like, no one still knows really how long this is gonna continue to last. Those thoughts just overtook me, and I was an emotional wreck because I was just like, well, I'm just gonna be friendless, I guess. As time went on, I realized, like, hey, you don't need to see someone in person. It is not absolutely necessary in order to continue to gain and keep human connection. In general, I think human connection is very essential to life, but at least for now, when we're in a pandemic, there are other ways to communicate with people, okay? And if you do feel like you have to see someone in person to keep your friendship with them, then I think you should reevaluate your friendship, because if it's just based on the convenience of being able to see someone in person, are they really your friend? I don't know. That's for you to reevaluate, not me. Okay, the 5th and final thing that I'm gonna talk about before I move on to the goals that I have for 2021 is worship leading looked so much different this year, and it was so weird. Like, when our church closed down, we started doing recordings that we would post online. I feel like before that, I found a lot of validation in being able to see the congregation's reaction and response physically through their worship. And I don't mean validation as something selfish to me, but more so validation in, okay, cool, like I'm doing my job right and I'm doing what God wants me to do correctly. I had to reevaluate like why I'm doing what I do, not like what I'm seeing out of that to validate what I'm doing, if that makes sense. So I think the real struggle for me was that I had to find new ways to connect to students and congregation members through the online community. Honestly, thank God that we have the privilege that we do to be able to have online resources to continue to connect with people. And there's so many people that don't have that privilege, and I think that brings me back to like what I was saying before about how it's not absolutely necessary to be in person with people to have a connection with them, because we have the privilege of being able to have online resources to not have to be in person. It was just hard for me to take myself out of the mindset of you don't need to see how people are reacting in order to know that God is still working. Whether I'm in person with the congregation or not, I'm not in control of how people react or respond. I'm gonna do my job as a worship leader and as a servant of Christ to do what God wants me to do. Then that's that. Like, I have to take a step back and be like, you know what? This isn't God's control, not mine. I'm doing the same thing, whether it's in person or online. I'm still leading the same way. I'm still doing what I have to do. Just because I can't see how they're reacting doesn't mean that God's not working. So yeah, those are the things that I learned in 2020. The crazy year that it was, I still learned a lot, thankfully. So I want to move on to what I've written down as my goals and the habits that I want to keep in 2021. Oh my gosh. Okay, so me and my best friend Nicole, hey, okay? We wrote in our planners together our goals and our habits and our attitudes, so like mindsets we want to keep in 2021. It looks like this. It just goes in the front of our planner. I just really love that this is like right when you open my planner, which obviously I look at every day, I can see all these things that I want to maintain for the year. These are in no particular order, but I'm gonna read you my goals. So the first one is to gain 1,000 YouTube subscribers. I feel like that's an attainable goal if I continue to post regularly and not just once a month, okay? The second one that I have is to get a cool social media job. I had one last year and I kind of just flaked out a little bit, so I want to get a new cool social media job. Number 3 is to create a vast audio and video library for editing my YouTube videos. I want the editing process to be easier on myself. I want to be able to have like a bigger library of sounds and effects and videos that I often use so that it's just easier for me to edit when I get to that. Because I feel like a lot of the time editing is the thing that I dread the most because it takes so long, and I want to do what I can to be able to condense that process. The fourth thing that I have is to complete 2 semesters of college strong. All A's, maybe some B's, depending on my mood. The fifth thing that I have is to learn more Spanish on Duolingo. I was really good and committed at doing this last year, like in the beginning of quarantine, I should say, but it kind of just like faded out. So I want to get back into that habit because I feel like it was helping me. Plus, it's always good to know Spanish. Like, I live in California and I'm Mexican, so like, let's move on to my habits. The first one that I have is to sleep before midnight. This is attainable for me. This is something that I can do, and I just a lot of the time choose not to because I get distracted by TikTok or something. So I want to be able to do that. Number 2, I have drink 2 hydro flasks a day, and I already do this for the most part, but I do want to eventually up that to 3 hydros a day. So we will see about that. The third one that I have on here is count your calories. I was so good at this earlier in 2020. I had the MyFitnessPal app and I always counted my calories every single day, but as time went on, I just got lazy. And for me, at least, I'm a huge snacker, and if I'm like craving something small, like I'll eat it. And that's probably why I've gained so much weight. Sometimes I just crave like a piece of cheese or something, and I am just too lazy to put it in the calorie tracker. So I'm like, dang it, I can't even have this piece of cheese because I don't want to like go through the app and go through the whole process of putting a 70 calorie piece of cheese in my calorie tracker. I'm too lazy to do that. So I just wouldn't. And then that's how I stopped counting my calories. Anyways, number 4, get outside and move your body in some way. Don't be lazy, period. I need to get out of the mindset that in order to be healthy, that requires a 45-minute workout every day. Working out is different for everybody, and there's so many different things that you can do to work out. Even if that's taking a walk around your neighborhood when you get up in the morning, or if it's doing jumping jacks in your living room or jumping rope in your front yard. Like, as long as you're moving your body in some way, which is exactly why I wrote it like that, that's better than if you were to be sitting on your couch or in your bed and not doing anything at all. The 5th habit that I have is to film my 1 second a day for the memes. 1 second a day is this app that literally makes you film 1 second of your day every single day. At the end of the year, it compiles this video of all of the 1 seconds that you have for the entire year, and it's so cute to look back on because there's so many days that you would have just forgotten about. I feel like the only things that I remember is like big events. So like when I went to Disneyland right before Corona hit California, that was like back in February of 2020, and I don't remember a lot of the things that I did for the rest of 2020 because it was just like there were so many days that looked the same. But I do feel like if I would have recorded my 1 second a day, I would have been able to remember a lot of those days, even if they were just like simple little videos of like me brushing my teeth or me like doing something like random or small. Like, it would have just been nice for me to have filmed more last year, and I kind of regret that. But that's why I'm getting back on the grind. I have kept my 1 second a day every single day so far of 2021, so that's good. That's something that I want to do for the rest of my life, to be honest, because I want to be able to remember things. This last column is attitudes, aka mindsets. Like I said, the first one is stop comparing your successes with other people's. I need to stop doing that, and I already explained that, so I'm not going to explain it again. Number 2, compliment strangers. You're never going to see them again, so you have nothing to lose. Smiley face. I really want to stick to this. Me and my boyfriend Garrett are such people watchers, and as soon as someone walks by, we'll say the same thing to each other. We're like, oh my gosh, I really liked his or her outfit. But we never tell the person. Like, why not just tell them? Like, it would probably make their day anyways. Or maybe they were feeling self-conscious about their outfit. But why not compliment someone, you know? I think that's just like a cute, sweet thing to do. Okay, number 3 is be even more blunt, but in a kinder way. Okay, yeah, I need to work on this. I am such a blunt person. Anybody that you ask that knows me will say that I'm a blunt person. And that sometimes gets me into trouble. I want to be able to be blunt, but not in a rude way. Like, I feel like I come off sometimes. I think I just have a habit of saying literally whatever is on my mind. Not that that's a bad thing to say what you're thinking, but just putting my thoughts through like one more filter before they actually come out of my mouth would be very nice. Okay, the fourth and last one I have on here is, it is simply impossible to please everyone, so you might as well just do what you want to do. And I live by that. I mean, this one is just self-explanatory. I need to not care so much about what other people think of me. I want to be able to like dress the way that I want. I want to be able to say what I want with kindness, like I said. Obviously there's a limit to this because I do care about the opinions of the people that are close to me that I trust, like my family, my best friends, and my boyfriend, but I don't want other people's opinions of me to hinder like how I dress or how I act or how I speak or whatever it might be. Like, I don't want to care so much about like, oh my gosh, but what will this person think, or what will they say about this? Sometimes I get so in my head about what a certain person might think or what a group of people might think that I'll create a scenario in my head about like, okay, well, if they were to say this, how would I respond? Or like, what would I say? And I'm like, how sad is that to like have to think of something to say back to people who are just gonna comment on me? Like, why is it my problem to like worry about what other people think? Like, that just doesn't make sense. So that's something that I totally want to leave in 2020 because I don't need that in my life, period. Anyways, that is all the goals and habits and attitudes that I've written down for 2021. If I end up adding anything to these, then I might just like add it in the description box, or I'll add it as the pinned comment down below. But yeah, that is all that I have for this video. I hope that you guys got something out of this. I hope that this inspired you to maybe make your own list. It's very useful like going into the new year, kind of like reflecting on what you learned, what you want to leave in that year, and what you want to bring forward with you into the new year. So anyways, if you guys did like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up down below and subscribe if you are not already, because like I said, I'm trying to reach that 1,000. If you did stay till this point of the video, then comment down below what your 2021 goal is, because I want to be inspired by you guys too. Okay, mwah. I love you guys so much. I will see you guys in the next video that will hopefully be sooner rather than later. Okay, bye.